Chris Courtney here, New Pragmatic. I'm having to do some work this morning because that sounded weird, but having a lot of trouble with my Discord bots. C2 bot died for the first time since I built it, like in June of last year. So my happy little C2 bot's been running like a top. I think I got to look into Zapier, see what's happening there. It's a C2 bots kind of connected to trigger and fire at a particular time, and something just happened there, and so I've got to dig into that. Minor stuff though, nothing that really can probably won't throw you off that C2 bot's not checking in on you, but I really love the old C2 bot. Helps me see what the hell's going on. Kind of keeps me level. So not having C2 bot around is a little disconcerting. It's weird. So anyway, that's going on. Hope you're doing well. A little discombobulated over here. It's a light morning, to be honest with you, and this coming in the wake of yesterday morning where everything was on the board. So it's not entirely surprising. Did have a few things come through that I responded to offline. So this could have been a bigger feedback loop, but to be honest with you, when part of the way that the program works is we use feedback loop a lot when people are working through very visual aspects of their projects, and we've got a lot of people going through UX sort of things where there's a lot of writing, and I can respond to that stuff in real time. So Katie, I'm not going to come on here and discuss Katie's search through the COVID projects, which she found some good ones. She's found some really interesting ones over on the Help with COVID site. There's still projects being released every day. And to be completely honest with you, I don't think this is going away anytime soon. But CouchBot fired. I'll circle back to that thought right after we get this right after we really get this underway. Hey, Chris Courtney here, New Pragmatic. It is time for the feedback loop, where I take your questions rapid fire. Not that there's a lot of rapid fire this morning. It's a pretty light morning compared to yesterday. Yesterday, I think we ran through. I know. It looked weird because it's it's 5 on 1. Did you answer 5 questions yesterday, Chris? No, I added it up. We answered 32. Went through 32 yesterday. So a little crazy. But I like it. I like it like that. This morning, dealing with a little bit of weirdness over on Discord. Discord pushed a lot of updates, and it killed one of my bots. And I'm trying to figure out what happened there. I've got 4 bots I used. I got 4 bots, 4 little me helpers. Think of it like multiplicity, except they're a little more reliable than that. But they're very simple bots. I have 4 channels that have 4 bots that operate within them. You're probably most familiar, if you're not a New Pragmatic subscriber, you are probably most familiar with the CouchBot. And CouchBot is the connection that fires and tells you when I'm streaming over here on the YouTubes. And then if you're inside the program, you have C2Bot, and C2Bot is every morning at 9 a.m. asking you, hey, let's check in. It's basically running stand-up. Am I saying that you could replace a Scrum Master or a Project Manager with a bot? No, not entirely. But there is one aspect of that job, which is gathering everybody together at 9 a.m. to check in and see what's going on. I think that can be done by a bot. It also could be done by an alarm clock, a really fancy alarm clock. But that bot died today. So I'm not ready to pour one out for C2Bot yet, though. I'm gonna go try to figure out what the hell happened there and fix that. Otherwise, Rebecca's in here. She's got some questions. It looks like some things broke, and if there's anything I enjoy, it is fixing a broken thing, or figuring out what broke on a thing. We had that issue yesterday where it was just a positioning issue, but it really threw me off on Melanie's drop down. Um, there are things that I just intuitively go, oh, this is how this is supposed to work, because I know the basic properties of CSS and I know how to apply them. But these weren't working. It was just because the positioning was it was weird. It was listed as static by default, and static is the default, and I've never seen it listed like that. So, when something's normally there as a default, you don't typically then see it written out. So that was throwing me off a bit. That said, I'm ready to get into it, and hopefully I won't be too discombobulated by the death of my poor little bot. I'm saddened. I'm all the sads. There are real problems out there in the world, though, folks. Speaking of real problems out there in the world, Katie's jumping into the COVID projects. I will say that she had selected an assortment of projects she's considering applying for, and formally of the 6, I blessed 3. I'm not covering those here today because I wanted to get her push. I didn't want to make her wait for this to go look through. Hey, here's the ones I really like. But just know that there are still people pushing projects up that are worth giving a look. Okay, over there on the Help with COVID site. This isn't slowing down. And actually, what's interesting is hotspots. It may seem like, okay, it's slowing down here or it's slowing down in Spain. Yeah, but it's speeding up in Russia and in Brazil and India. So this is one of those things where it rolls. And as we see it roll, that's kind of the scary thing. Like, if it would spike and then die down in a relative constrained fashion, where it's like China, Europe, U.S., then I'd be like, okay, and we're done. But now we're seeing it spike up in these other areas. It's like, oh crap, this is going to keep going. So keep an eye out for that. On the upside, hey, there's awesome projects getting released because people have new ideas. On the downside, it's like, crap, we need these projects because this thing isn't dead. So, all that said, let's jump in. So Rebecca was saying that she was having trouble with, and let's jump in here to her journal. My calendar was busy yesterday. So the biggest priority is get the CWS case study live as possible. So for some reason, I went to record the Cellwise Hero animation we worked on, and it isn't behaving like it did when we built it. I tried slowing down, but no luck. I'm drawing a blank again. Would appreciate your help in getting it back to the way it was so I can plug it in the case study. All right, so let's go take a look at that, because what we were working on, if we go to the prototype, was this bad boy. And the trouble with fixing this is we did some black magic up here to get it to work properly. So I'm going to put this in play mode, and yes, I'm just going to ask that bottom nav to go away. I'm going to increase this. Okay, I guess that's as much as far as it's going. Okay. All right. Okay. Yep. I gotta be honest with you, Rebecca. I think it's functioning as we had it. Now, we can adjust this slower, and I'm not completely certain if so this little animation that's playing, I'll try to go through for you home players that are following along. Let's start over here at home page 18. So there's a transition in here, and it's utilizing, if we click on it, it's utilizing the right arrow on your keypad. So instead of tapping on it, I'm controlling the animation with the keypad, and I'm just hitting the right arrow. And because it's looped back around, as you'll notice, by this arrow coming back, every animation just continues to loop. So that's that's great. That's beneficial. I like that a lot. But to control this and to get it to basically to get this to work, we've had to come in and group, not the navigation, but this hero slide. Yeah, here it is. So we've got these groups in here, and let's yeah, it's names, and we come in here to names, and there's two names here. If we sit here and say, instead of clip content, show the content, which is what happens when you have clip content deselected, you'll see the app creation is over to the right. Or I'm sorry, I have no sense of direction. It's over to the left. And what is happening is when this is transitioning, if you go to 19 and you open names, you see app co-creation and 5G deployment. If we go deselect clip content on this one, you'll see 5G deployment is now over to the right. So what's really occurring here is in this animation, the little ball, and again, what Rebecca's trying to do is she's trying to tell her animation team what the desired animation is. They have all the graphics, and they have the artists that are drawing the full animation, but she's wanting this thing to ping back and forth between two towers, okay? And with it, what happens is it carries this word into frame across. And then when it gets across, the word that was being featured is now hidden. And it does this back and forth. And every time it does it, what occurs is there's this momentary shift. And I'll show you what I mean. So here, we come into the next frame. And if we turn this off, you'll see that from here to here, app co-creation doesn't switch, but it changes names to Network Dynamics. And that Network Dynamics name is interesting because over here, it has to retain 5G deployment for the sake of the auto animate, which is, if I can find my way back over here, the Smart Animate. Smart Animate will magically make transitions for you if the assets are named the same thing. So I changed the name of Network Dynamics over here, but then I had to go back and roll back the name of the actual text layer to the old name so that it would trick Figma into continuing to do the animation. Otherwise, Figma would ignore the animation and just say, "Oh, this is a new asset," and put it in the screen. So that's what's happening here when you're watching this go by. And notice, and actually, this might be a really good way to show you what's happening. So it hid itself there because I no longer have the hide content or clip content. So as it comes over, you see it slide over, and then it immediately switches. And what's happening there, and this is important, and I'm also explaining this because Rebecca seems like we did this, and we might have done it so fast that you forgot the details of it. But right here, this is not a animate thing. This is after a delay of 1 millisecond, instantly pop from 5G to Network Dynamics. So it's like immediately switch and then go again. So this isn't triggered, this after delay, this is not triggered to any sort of keypad move. It's just loading up for the next one. So let's go back and look at that again. I'll hit R for refresh. So it moves over and then immediately switches, and then it moves back, and you get the sense of what's happening there. Moves over, immediately as it ends, it pops to the next one and then moves back. And you notice how it faded away. And that's because we're moving from a situation where the content is clipped to a situation where the content isn't clipped. So that's how this is working. And as far as I can tell, Rebecca, this is working as we previously designed. I'm going to go back and turn those clipped contents back on. This is also how you do side sliding sections of an app, which is something that I've had people go, hey, how is that occurring? Well, that is how it occurs. Did C2 bot fire? Hey, C2 bot, you're 51 minutes late. C2 bot's not dead. It was just lost. You know, I'm going to take a moment to talk about this for a second. There are a few things that are more frightening to me than technology that acts like a human does. When your bot shows up late, that is a very human-like activity. A little weird. Maybe it isn't that C2 bot was broken. Maybe it's just aware. Maybe it had to go get coffee or something. I don't know. That's really bizarre. I dislike technology that operates on its own schedule, because now I have to go investigate why. Very bizarre. All right. Sorry for the side note. But I did spend a good 15 minutes in investigating that. Put me behind for feedback loop today. It's like, what's happening with the bot? What's that all about? Oh God, it's a terrible joke. All right. I hope that helps, Rebecca. I hope that helps you understand what's happening with the animation. That is indeed the speed that we had it at, though. So, I'm not completely sure what you thought you might get there. I will say this though, if you're looking, so I've got a couple ways that I could record this. I could do a cloud app thing. I could come through, and this is a GIF maker, and I'm just going to come through and copy it into GIF form. Maybe this will be beneficial to you. Maybe it won't, but we'll find out soon enough. All right, so yeah, it's recording. Or I think it's recording. Okay, maybe now it's recording. Gotta move my cursor. We're gonna restart that. We can clip this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. And actually, it's too. You're right. It's too fast. You're right. I get it now, and I think I know. I think I understand. I think I understand a little better what the problem is, Rebecca. You probably, when you're working through this, it's 1, then you've got to count 2, 3, 4. Now what's interesting is you could set this up on an auto delay that wasn't triggered by a key. I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so if I said instead of keypad, I just want this to be well, I think you actually have to start it with a keypad, and then after that, after you've begun the transition, can you instead of keypad, you could then say after delay of 1,000 milliseconds, make the next transition. And here, this one's just after delay. That's the reload. This one is after delay, and you could do it after delay, and we'll make it 1 second. And this one is automatic transition. And this one's going to be after delay, and it's going to take us back. And now you've basically got it down to one keystroke starts the thing. Okay, so we're back here. I'm going to hit it, and now hands up. It's just going to do its thing, and then it's done. Now, you could slow that down. How would you slow it down? Well, Like for instance here, you could change that to 2000. Okay, so this is going to take 2 seconds. And this one, which is 1 second, because again, milliseconds, 1,000 seconds, milli, equals 1 second. So now it's going to be 2 seconds. And then after that, let's go over here. This is going to be 2 seconds. All right. So that's going to slow it down significantly. That's a keypad. The animation is going to take 8,000 seconds. So really, this after delay is just it's not determining how long the transition takes. It's determining how long to wait before triggering the transition. Okay. So let's come back through and do it again. And then I'll just let you record it on whatever. But I'm going to keypad, hands up. Do it again. Do it again. Okay, and that's the animation. So we've went from being a, hey, you hit the keystroke and that's going to be variable because you're never going to hit it at the same exact speed every time, to basically saying you get it started, you hit the keystroke whenever you want it to begin, like now, and then you set the after delay to trigger, and then it's going to control the animation as it goes. This is, you know, there's a lot of different ways that you can do animations. This is one. I like this method because it allows you to shift directions, but you have to basically go in there and rename assets and kind of trick Figma into doing it. I will say that there are some updates that have been released for Framer that I will be looking into in the near future, because Framer and Figma seem to keep moving closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to each other, which is interesting. Framer Web was just released, but we just haven't used Framer a lot. But I will be, basically Framer's copying a lot of what Figma was doing, just with better animations. But I'm still like a big fan of Figma, so I'm not really ready to go buy Figma, mainly because Figma has this amazing ecosystem. One of the things that Eve pointed out, well, actually Eve didn't necessarily directly point this out, but there is a robust illustration plugin. So here's Avatar, and you can get a lot of illustrations that are basically open sourced from the plugin community. Now some of them, to get them to be higher resolution, like blush.design is one of them, you have to pay like a monthly fee. But this gives you, this is an avatar illustration system, and what's interesting is, like, if you look at it, it's like, okay, so here's the ears, you got a couple of different options for the ears, here's the base, here's the ear ring, here's the mouth, the hair that's possible, the eyes, the eyebrows. It's like a Mr. Potato Head for Figma. Oh, that's so cool to think about it that way. But it just shows you the creativity of what you can actually do in the platform that, you know, it really wasn't a thing before. And it, you know, it is kind of interesting. I wonder if we should just like have a master or a main Figma file where we all go in and make our own little Mr. and Mrs. Potato Heads. Why don't we just call it Potato Heads? Can we go in and make our own potato heads? I don't know. You know, from a branding perspective, I think it needs a Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, because it's like one comes with like eyelashes and lips, and the other one comes with a hat. Or maybe Mrs. Potato Head also comes with a hat. Maybe hers is just a fancier hat. I bet you thought you were tuning in this morning, you were going to talk all about potato heads. I bet that's what you thought, and you were right. That was a weird dream you had, but it actually came true. And by the way, if you're dreaming about what we're talking about in Feedback Loop, give me some of what you're having. All right? Let's get out of this. Let's skedaddle. Let's come back over to Rebecca's. She also had questions related to any suggestion of what I could do to get the Cellwise case study looking more polished and professional. Maybe changing the image sizes. Okay. Let's come over to Rebecca Bar Design. I think you've pressed this up, but let's see. Case study cell wise.html. Yeah, it's in there. Okay. This project. So a couple of things I would consider is I want to really fix this. Like, this is just driving me nuts. I also might switch sides on this. I don't really see a lot of advantage on having the illustrations over here. I might have them over here, just so the typography starts on the same edge. Information architecture. This might be an interesting spot to go edge to edge. With your you know, your what you're displaying. I might if you did that, I might consider moving. Yeah, you still haven't put your wireframes in here. It's interesting. This is your information architecture here. There's a lot of space here. A lot of space here. Might move this to that side. This isn't like really. I really think you could just do this as a 3-column thing and just have it. You don't have. It's not really displaying properly here. I really think that all of this information could somehow be displayed in just regular HTML, maybe with line work. And then you've got this rocket ship here. I think I would put it over here and just have the text aligned to this side, and maybe have your rocket ship over here. That's what I would do. So it's a lot of little adjustments, and like the teeter-totter, I'd probably go, you know, like it's this shape. But I'd go wide. I'd go to the full width with it, but I'd take out some of this top because you don't need, like, I'm guessing if I move this, yeah, you can kind of see there's some top and bottom to the image. If it's, I mean, this isn't a complex shape, so if needed, I would just redraw it so that it like worked for the space. But those are the, like, really minor adjustments that I would make right away, and I think that would help it elevate. Okay, let's see. Anybody else pop in while we were going through that? No. So we did a deep dive on that animation bit. We also got into Figma Mr. and Mrs. Potato Heads, which is cool. I think I'm going to release that to the community. We'll remix the avatar thing, and maybe we'll just have a new Pragmatic community, and hell, we could even pop those in as our avatars if you wanted to. Anyway, that's really all I have. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Lisa, I know you're coming up a little bit later today, so I'm super excited to talk with you because you've got a bunch of things going on. And otherwise, you people hang tight, and I'll see you later. Take care.